Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for your support. Please continue to like and subscribe, especially to these videos. It's our Bodhisattva effort to grow the Sangha, get YouTube to help us show up for more people, propagate the teachings, yeah? Today we start not a very long letter, but another of Nichiren's writings to a female, a woman who's seems to be associated with the Ikegami brothers. But again, the recipient isn't always the important thing, although sometimes, when we're talking about women especially, Nichiren will very compassionately address some unique female issues. We've witnessed that in previous videos. So anyway, just something to mark in the back of your mind. This letter is entitled The Real Aspect of the Gohonzon. And this is a confusing issue for a lot of people, not least of which because of the muddled teachings we have throughout time, but certainly in our modern era, about what is the Gohonzon. Often we're told by people who don't seem to understand the teachings themselves, which is odd to me. You're teaching Nichiren's doctrine. You're calling yourself a Nichiren Buddhist, as though Nichiren invented it. And then you're telling people that they need to enshrine a Gohonzon. Well, that mandala, newsflash, ain't Gohonzon. I just want to square the field right away. And this shows itself in translation errors, and we may run into some here. I'll mark them for future edits, but the point is, the Gohonzon is a mental facility. It's not a scroll. It's not a mirror. It's a mental portal of understanding, an opening gate, as Nagarjuna was fond of calling these transcendental mental moments, to awaken the mind of Buddha, which we all have, but our sentient minds are so overwhelmed by the samsaric monkey mind, right, of attachment and look over there, look at me. It's all about attention, attaching, owning, property. That's what our samsaric mind wants. And it's not a deficiency, because the samsaric mind is a result of the energies that manifested our self, our bodies, created this entire apparatus for the mind to emerge. So it's nothing to begrudge. What our mind does in owning identification, talk about it all the time, isn't the problem. The problem is our utter 100% reliance on it for our understanding of life. This is what Shakyamuni identified from the get-go, that it is that very mechanism of constantly referring to our possessions and our identities that begets our stress and our anxiety about living life. Buddhism is very pragmatic. It doesn't say get rid of any of that. It says, let's take another step, shall we? Let's get up above that physical attachment physical being, and let's, with our minds, perceive the bigger picture of what it is to be, what creates all of this being. And come to find out, it's that same sentient mind, but you just need to alter its perspective. that the self, the being, the identity isn't based on the stuff. It's based on this energy, moment to moment, happening. Oh, that's a different sort of being. That's an energetic being. That's a conscious being. Oh, that's what's driving the ship. I never looked there before. Look behind the curtain. Who's driving this boat? Oh, I was, but I didn't know it. Buddhahood. Oh, I can see this whole drama of living from a completely different perspective. Untethered, unbound, unchained by these things and identifications of being, and instead being at the helm of this. I kept trying to see where my boat was going by looking at the wake in the water, but that wasn't giving me any direction. Now, oh, look, that's where I'm going. That's what all of this is about. Wow, I can influence this. I can embrace this. I don't have to be stressed about it. I understand now, right? This is what Buddhahood is about. Gohonzon is that aha, that RenGe, moment of realization, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. I have received your offerings to the Gohonzon. I've received your offering to the Gohonzon. Does that mean he took her bag of rice and put it under his butsudan, under the mandala, and said, "Here, mandala"? No, that's not what that means. Understand what Gohonzon is. He's honoring her offering, not to him, Nichiren the human, which is what it's for, to give him sustenance so he can continue to talk about Gohonzon. And so, in effect, even though her offering is to sustain Nichiren, he understands full well that her offering is meant as an homage and fuel for the continued awakening, information, communication, assistance, bodhisattva of attainment, of awakening, of enlightenment. That's what the bag of rice is for. Yeah. It helps, when you guys go to Patreon or to PayPal, or you send candles, or you send incense, right? To support the channel, or like and subscribe. You're not supporting Sylvain. You're supporting, man, I need this encouragement. I need this source, this resource of constant reminder that I'm an enlightened being, that I can awaken my mind. Thank you. Here's something to keep that going. Your offerings aren't to YouTube. They're not to me. They're to Gohonzon, not the scroll. You see, there's a huge divide in there, but that's not often made clear. But here it is in the language of Nichiren. I have received your offerings to the Gohonzon of 5,000 coins, 1 horse load of polished rice, and fruit. That's quite a large offering. She's really excited about her practice. To begin with, this Gohonzon was revealed in the last 8 years of the 50 that the Buddha preached in this world, and in this period of 8 years, in 8 chapters of the Lotus Sutra, from the emerging of the earth chapter through the entrustment chapter. Is he talking about the mandala there? Of course not. I wouldn't fault you entirely for thinking that, though, because that's what's so often promoted by these horrible teachers. They want you to be clamoring for a thing. But isn't that the complete opposite of what Buddhism is about? Stop clamoring for things. That's where suffering comes from. the first noble truth. And the second. It's not about owning a mandala. It's about using these samsaric tools, the Butsudan, the mandala, the candles, the incense, all of it is about getting our samsaric mind, our monkeys, to shut the hell up so that we focus in on that Gohonzon, that opening door in our minds that, oh, now I'm driving the ship. Now I'm in Buddhahood. This is life. I feel the energy, momentum, right? Pushing me through time, space, instantiating potential. Every moment of my life, instantiating. Can I affect that next instantiation? Because if you stop, which is what you do, and revel or experience or worry about what you have, the ship is still moving, my friends. So what are you doing when you stop and you're concerned with all of the stuff and the stress and you're being left behind? Your life, your ship of life, momentum, going, you're back there. Oh, this, bye. You don't want to do that. That's what Shakyamuni identified as the source of suffering. This constant wanting to remain, that's possession, that's attached. What other words could you put to it? Drop anchor. No, life is moving constantly. Everything's changing constantly. Be with it. If you want to apply influence, influence the momentum. Not the past, it's gone. It's no longer relevant unless you make it so. Unless you want to live in it. Well, no wonder you suffer. We're drowning in it. To continue with the analogy. Now, during the 3 periods following the Buddha's passing in the 2,000 years of the former and middle days of the law, not even the term object of devotion of the essential teachings yet existed. I'm struggling with this translation since I started practicing Nichiren's doctrines. Constantly, these authors use the word object or object of devotion. And I think this is where a lot of the misunderstanding lies. So I'm going to talk about it for just a moment. But I've been talking about it. To say the word object in our samsaric mind means that mandala, an object. But this is not what Nichiren means. And if I could come up with a better word for it, I would change all of these books so they didn't ever use this word again. The closest thing I can come to it is, this is the objective verb, not noun. And I wouldn't use devotion because that's that worship thing. Please give me. Please, can we get these thoughts out of our mental vocabulary? This is not Buddhism. In fact, I think I will endeavor to do that and revise all of my books so they no longer say object of devotion. It is a heinous misinterpretation. It's misleading, and it hooks us into samsara again. You see what I mean? It's the objective of our focused mind. It's the objective of our, what's the third noble truth? Ceasing of the formations. It's our physical samsaric tools to release us, emancipate us from anchoring in time, from the object of devotion should be the objective of practice, the objective of Gohonzon. But it's not that mandala. So there's got to be a better translation. I wish I knew Japanese or ancient Japanese or even Chinese from which Nichiren was writing this dialogue down, and I'm positive that if I could read that initial dialogue, I could find a better translation. Because this is a cop-out. This is English being used to increase membership, to use the very facility that Buddha was working so hard to break. This is not an object of devotion. That's a talisman. That's religion. That's stupidity. So wherever it says this, I'm determined I'm going to find a better way to say this. And he's indicating it right here. He's talking about the Buddha's teachings the last 8 years. Nowhere in the Lotus Sutra does it say, scribble this down on a piece of paper and worship it. Does it? No. Everywhere in the Lotus Sutra, as Nichiren points out, it says this is the way to self-realize. This is the teaching. This is the one vehicle. This is the way to self-manifest Buddhahood. That's what the Lotus Sutra says. So if Nichiren makes a tool to help us distract our samsaric mind so that we can penetrate that Gohonzon, where the Gohonzon is, in the mind, to our Buddhahood, our Buddha-ness, it's not an object, it's an objective, it's a goal. And it's not of worshiping and desiring and please pray and give me. Bullshit. That's not what he's saying. That's not what the Lotus Sutra says. The Lotus Sutra says focus your mind on realization, on RenGe. Maybe that's what that should say. The objective of RenGe. Not even the term the objective of RenGe of the essential teaching yet existed. That works. Boy, that changes the meaning, doesn't it? How then could the objective of RenGe have been revealed? It was being revealed, talked about, but in those terms? Not yet. Not yet. Moreover, there was no one who was able to express it. There was no one to give it expression. Tendai, Miaolo, Dengyo, they perceived it in their hearts. They understood what the Lotus Sutra was about. But for some reason, never put it into words. They put it into practice, but they couldn't abbreviate it as a shorthand of, do you get it? Just as Yen Yuan realized the true meaning of Confucius's teachings, but never gave it expression. Well, there it is. Gosh, why didn't I see this before? There's Nichiren's example. The teaching is showing us how to do it, but why didn't we just say, this is how you do it? Why? What kept us from that little tiny mental leap? It wasn't the time yet. I gotta write that down. Object. Devotion. What a heinous. Oh, thank you for helping me find that. I am going to change that. I'll spend the rest of the day doing this. Is what I said. The RenGe. The RenGe of practice. The RenGe of... I'm going to think about that some more. Okay. Yet the sutra itself and the commentaries of Tendai and Miaolo explicitly state that the Gohonzon will appear after 2,000 years have elapsed following the Buddha's passing in the first 500 years of the latter day of the law. What do you suppose that means? This mandala? No. Again, I'm critical of the translation. But what I can surmise from everything we've studied is that when he says Tendai Miaolo explicitly state that the Gohonzon, or the, what is the Gohonzon? What is he shorthanding there? That would be more useful. That only in the latter day of the law, only after 2,500 years have lapsed since Shakyamuni's extinction, would the capacity and the time be adequate to realize Buddhahood in one's present form immediately. That's the Gohonzon. How wondrous is it that around 200 years and more into the latter days of the law, I was the first to reveal as the banner of propagation of the Lotus Sutra this great mandala. He doesn't call it a Gohonzon. This great mandala that even those such as Nagarjuna and Vasubandhu Tendai Miaolo were unable to express. Nichiren isn't saying this great mandala is the Gohonzon. What he's saying is this great mandala is the focal point in samsara for us to leap into Gohonzon. Should I rewrite that as well? Because this is the meaning. This is what Nichiren is saying. I don't want to put words into Nichiren, but at the same time, I don't want this propaganda to keep soiling our understanding of Buddhism. Maybe just this video is enough. See, now this is the translation problem. Again, this says, it is the objective of our practice that depicts Shakyamuni, the world-honored one, seated in the treasure tower of many treasures Buddha and the Buddhas who were Shakyamuni's emanations, as perfectly as a print matches its woodblock. Thus, the 5 characters of the Lotus Sutra title are suspended in the center, while the 4 heavenly kings are seated at the 4 corners of the treasure tower. He is describing this mandala. Remember, he said this mandala. He's talking about the mandala now. He's not talking about Gohonzon. Stay clear on this. Shakyamuni, many treasures, and the 4 leaders of the bodhisattvas of the earth are side by side at the top. Seated below them are the bodhisattvas, including Universal Worthy and Manjushri, and the voice hearers, including Shariputra and Madhyayana. Beside them are the deities of the sun and moon, the devil, unlife-affirming and negative king of the 6th heaven, the dragon king, and the Ashuras. In addition, the wisdom kings, immovable and craving-filled, take up their stations to the south and north. The evil, unlife-affirming, negative, and treacherous Devadatta and the ignorant dragon king's daughter form a group. All the stories of the Lotus Sutra on this mandala, because they're representative, they're personages, right? Go to threefoldlotus.com and look at the button on the personages of the Gohonzon, and you'll get stories and stories and a map of everyone, all the personages on the mandala, which are conceptual mental conditions, which is how it relates to Gohonzon. These are the flags waving in front of the door of Buddha-ness. These are the mental experiences in samsara that distract us and yet are used as expedient means to understand, surmounting them to get to the Gohonzon. Do you see? I'm being very expressive. I hope I'm not damaging the frame rate here. Okay. Not only the mother of demon children and the 10 demon daughters who are evil, demons that sap the lives of the people throughout the major world systems. Why do they sap the life of the... Because they're obstacles to the Gohonzon, the Buddha-ness. But also the sun goddess, great Bodhisattva Hachiman, and the 7 reigns of the heavenly deities and the 5 reigns of the earthly deities, who are the guardian deities of Japan, all the various great and small deities, that is, the main deities, are ranged in rows. All of these belief systems that are in our lives in samsara, still part of this mandala, but they frame our earthly experience around Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, enlightenment, achievement of that Gohonzon. You see the drama unfolding on this mandala? The mandala is not the Gohonzon. It is the story of the Lotus Sutra that enables us to surmount all of those earthly mental involvements and use our perspicacity, our insights, our RenGe to what? The central figure of this mandala is the invocation, a samsaric representation of the invocation, because the mandala is not invoking it, you are. You are endeavoring with all of this information and support to invoke Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Boom. Gohonzon door opens. Buddha-ness. There's where Gohonzon is, in the mind, in the perception. How then could the remaining subordinate deities be left out? If you understand these teachings, they propagate throughout, right, potential. They represent the maximal instantiation, manifestation of all these different energies. If you understand that all of that is contained in the surmounting invocation of Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, then you can emancipate yourself, raise the anchor and sail your ship. The Treasure Tower chapter states, what have I told you about the Treasure Tower? Shakyamuni Buddha used his transcendental powers to lift all the members of the Great Assembly up into the air. The symbolism of that. This is the emancipation, your release from what's holding you back, all of the stuff that you're attached to. RenGe. Without exception, all these Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, great sages, and in general, all various beings of the 2 worlds and the 8 groups who appear in the introduction chapter of the Lotus Sutra dwell in this Gohonzon, not the mandala, in the air. Follow along. This Gohonzon is the emancipation into Buddha-ness, not the mandala. Even in this foibled translation, the message is still clear. Illuminated by the light of the five characters of the mystic law, they display the dignified attributes that they inherently possess. This is the objective. This is the RenGe of practice, the awakening. Oops. Lost some frames there. So I'll repeat it. This says this is the object of devotion. He's not Gohonzon is the object of devotion, of practice, of dedication. This is the RenGe of dedication. I like that better. How many of you just got an aha moment? I hope. Nichiren is very specific here. On the one hand, he's talking about this mandala, and on the other hand, he's talking about what should be achieved with it. Gohonzon. This rising up from the ceremony on the ground where we start, samsara, and with this great aha, RenGe moment, we rise up in the air because we're now sailing forward. We're in it, moment to moment, living all of potential. Buddha-ness. That is Gohonzon. That is the objective. This is so important to understand. It'll change your practice. This is what is meant when the sutra says the true aspect of all phenomena. It's not in this piece of paper. It's not in this mandala. The true aspect of all phenomena is what you experience when you released all of that, all of the physical world. When you rise up into the air of Buddha-ness, into the Gohonzon portal of existence, which is our middle ground between enlightenment and samsara. Is that clear? Does that make sense? Please let me know in the comments if I've left something out here. Miao stated, quote, the true aspect invariably manifests in all phenomena, and all phenomena invariably manifest the 10 factors. Nyose so, nyose in, nyose en, nyose, right? The 10 factors invariably manifest in the 10 worlds: hell, hunger, animality, Buddhahood, learning, bodhisattva. And the 10 worlds or realms invariably manifest in life and its environment. Now we're getting to samsara. Only then. Many steps down from the Gohonzon. Not this mandala. This mandala is in the environment. Big distance. It is also stated that the profound principle of the true aspect is the originally inherent Myoho Renge Kyo. In other words, the self-realization is always there. But are you aware? Are you participating? Or are you just blissfully gliding by, attached to the past? The great teacher Dengyo said, quote, a single moment of life comprising the 3,000 realms is itself the Buddha of limitless joy. Again, that Gohonzon is a moment-to-moment perception as where the ship moves along through time. Our great karmic engine. Being here in the moment it's instantiating is everything. This is Buddha-ness. This is Gohonzon. Awareness of Buddha-ness in our samsaric apparatus. This Buddha has forsaken august appearances. The things we identify, Shakyamuni, you and me, stuff, has been forsaken. In other words, it hasn't been forsaken in the Western sense that it's been forgotten about, as though that was a disparagement. No, it's forsaken in the sense, and we probably could use a better word there too. It's been let go as unnecessary, as a foible of attachment. Something we're doing, not what those are doing. See, forsaken implies that there's some kind of a damage or malady to what is being attached. But the latter isn't at fault. The stuff of samsara isn't at fault. The planets, the stars aren't. It's our attitude, our mental attachments. We're the ones creating those cobwebs. Therefore, this Gohonzon, this awakening, this awareness, this RenGe, shall be called the great Mandala never before known. That's really bad translation, because once again, it seems to affirm that the mandala is the Gohonzon. No. This mandala, being a samsaric tool of focus that enables us to penetrate our mind and kick open that Gohonzon door, that's the value of this mandala. Now we can give this mandala some value as this wonderful, concise tool for our mental practice to let go of samsara while remaining in it, but not samsara itself, our attachments to samsara. I know this is complicated, and it's word salad, but it's so critical that you understand. It did not appear until more than 2,220 years after the Buddha's passing, which he's giving as historical reference to what all of these previous scholars have said. I'm going to stop there because this point is so critical in our practice to understand, and I'm really motivated to go and do some editing. Have I made this clear enough? Please let me know. Please let me know if I sound like I'm not identifying the difference. Because you must know, we have a Butsudan because here in samsara we honor things by giving them respect. Respect that we somehow in the physical world represent by housing things like our own lives. And we decorate them not flat, because the decorations can't be so lavish that the decorations are our attention. No. We want to create an honorable place to house this very critical importance tool, this mechanism that allows us to forge through samsara into Buddha-ness. It's rare. It's unique. So we create a place where we can derive all our attention and focus it. That's what the Butsudan is. And then we put in it this mandala that represents this teaching of self-enlightenment, the Lotus Sutra. And when we focus on that mandala, the Butsudan kind of disappears because it's just provisional. It's just there to remind us when we walk by the room, oh yeah, I have a better, higher, more amazing self to witness, to experience, than I need a cookie from down the hall. Oh yeah, life is much more meaningful than this petty stuff that I'm doing. Thank you, Butsudan, for reminding me. Inside that Butsudan, I'm always aware, is a very special opportunity. So when I open the Butsudan and I'm faced with the mandala, I know this is serious business. I'm going to open this much more aware, amazing substantiation of awareness, Buddha-ness. Okay, here I go. And we start to chant and observe with our eyes, with our sound, with our bodies, facing. We do all of this ritualistic behavior, not because the ritual gets us there, but because it's our samsaric way of saying, I'm serious about this. And now I'm going to chant clearly, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I'm still not there yet, because there's a component that all of this samsaric stuff is about. It's about RenGe. How do I get RenGe? How do I make all of this ritual stuff turn into, boom, enlightenment? How do I do that? It's in the mind, my friends. So you've got the right attitude. You're in the right place. You're committed. Now you have to actuate. How do you do that? Intent. What is your intent? What is driving? Is what drives your daimoku, your gongyo, being an excellent daimoku and gongyo reciter? You know the answer. Your gongyo, your reciting of your chanting, it's all the right stuff, but it's not about that stuff. It's about what are you doing with it? What is your goal? There can only be one goal. And it ain't a better this or a better that or having more stuff. That's exactly what we're trying to get away from. That's suffering. Anyone who taught you that? No, your intent is Buddha. That's the only goal. Your intent is Buddha. Nichiren, single-mindedly meet Buddha. When you meet Buddha, who are you? Hi, Buddha. No, in your mind. Be at the helms. Be sailing ahead of your ship. Namo myoho renge kyo. RenGe. Yeah, I get it. Mind is ready. Mind is invoking. Attitude, I'm doing this. Intent, what am I doing? Myoho renge kyo, RenGe. I'm Buddha, Buddha-ness, clarity. All of this was, I guarantee you, with that kind of ichinen, that kind of will, that kind of insight, this mandala will obliterate itself right in front of you. It'll be hard to stay focused on it because it ain't it. We call it fusion. We have the perfect tool in the perfect environment. All of that is for one reason, to get that mind to open, that Gohonzon to open. Buddhahood. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Please do so. It's a Bodhisattva act. Any other way you can support this resource, greatly appreciated. Patrons, you guys are amazing. And I will see you in the next one, yeah? We're not done with this letter. He's dropping some heavy-duty wisdom on this gal. All of us, yeah? Let's see how he closes this letter. I'm eager to find out. Take care of your health. Be kind to yourself and others. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Myo.